Good morning one and all. Today I am discussing the topic is Introduction to C++. Previously we have seen what is a C language and the basics of C language. Today my concept is Introduction to C++. C is developed by Bertrand Stroustrup in the year of 1980s. In the C language we are using the extension .c. In the C++ we are using the extension is .cpp. And C++ language is a high level language and it is also a general purpose programming language. In this word we have listened in the same as C language, and C combines with both high level features. And what is the difference between C and C++ means? C is a structure oriented programming language. Now coming to C++ is a object oriented programming language. And what are the key features of a C++? Now recently I have discussed that object oriented means objects, concepts, class, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. These all categories are included as the object oriented programming language. In this C++ it is a rich standard library and we can use various functions and data structures, and it can allow pointers and memory allocation and deallocation methods. In this pointers, allocations and deallocations are not included in the C language, but in the C++ and these features we can also use in this. Now what are the applications? And in C++ we have to developing softwares such as operating system and device drivers, and it is a popular game development also used in the C++ language, and it is used for hardware also, and it can give better performance. How? Let's take some example. In this C++ we are using the several applications like financial systems and real-time simulations. Basic syntax of the C++ is, in the previously we have learned C language, header file hash include stdio.h. In the C++, in the header file is hash include IO stream, and in this C++ program you have to made up some functions and you have to perform some specific task also, and whenever you have to ending the statement you have to place a semicolon, and the block of the code is enclosed between the curly braces. And we can use C++ variables. You have to storing and manipulating data, and each variable must and should have the specifying the data type. And how to start the C++ programming. And finally you have to compile C program in the applications using GSS or Visual C++, and C++ program also starting from with main function, that is the entry point of the program, and we have to involve understanding what is the syntax, data types and control structures, and how to use these library files in the C++. Now coming to features of C++, it has a first creating classes and objects. Then the second one is you have to support encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. These object oriented programming, it has to code reusability and modularity. Basics on C language, the objects concepts are not there. In the C++ we are using the object oriented programming. It means you have to creating classes, objects, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism concept. What is a standard template library? It is denoted as the STL. What is the means STL? It is the reusable data, structures and algorithms, and it also includes the vectors, list and maps. These concepts are not listed in the C language, but you have to use in the C++ language. You can use vectors, list and maps. What is the standard template library? It is one type of an algorithm. How to use it? You have to sorting the data and searching the data, and how to manipulate data efficiently. Operator overloading. In this concept we have recently listened in the Java only. In the C++ we are using operator overloading. You can use the operators plus, minus, divided by, and these custom behavior is used in built-in operators only, but not user-defined data types. Exception handling means you can handle runtime errors. Means you have to allow some graceful error handling and recovery methods. In this mainly exception handling, the try block should statement cause an exception. The exception will through the exception object. Finally, the catch block will rectify that exception mechanisms. Multiple inheritance. In this multiple inheritance, you can, whereas class inherit for multiple base classes. What is this importance? You have to allow some code reuse and flexibility, and how to design complex class hierarchy. These multiple inheritance, mainly the care should be taken avoid errors, and basically it has to conflicts. Then you can use this multiple inheritance. Let's see the pictorial representation. The class 1 and class 2, these both classes are combined as the derived class. What is the memory management? In this memory management, you have to use new and delete keywords. Now recently I have seen new keyword only, but in this C++ concept you have to use new and delete keywords. The developer has to control over the memory allocation and deallocation. These allows for efficient memory usage and reduce the risk of memory leaks. What is the performance of C++? In this, C++ is better performance and efficiency, and it has to allow low memory manipulation and direct hardware access, and C++ code can be optimized for speed and resource usage. What is the wide range of applications we have used in C++? Operating systems, GUI based applications, browsers, graphics, database softwares, libraries, cloud computing and compilers. Many of the popular software applications you can use these libraries, and these are written in the C++ programming language. Now C++ programming structure. It consists of one or more function. The main function should be the entry point of the program, and it must be represented as the every C++ programming. In this programming you can use modules, but each module it has to contain some related functions. How to declare function declaration and definitions? You have to declaring a function, it include mainly function name. Without function name you can't declare any function. You have to include function name, return type and parameters, and this function definition provide actual implementation of the function. The function may be before or after. You have to use function name, return type and parameters in the user in the program. How to processing the program? The execution starts from main function. In every programming, the main function should be the entry point of the function. These statements are appear in the program like control flow statements. Control flow statement means it is based on the condition. Whether the condition is true, the statement will be printed. Otherwise, it has to go to the another alternative. What are the data types and variables? In this C++, we are having primary data type, derived data type, user defined data type. Primary data type means you have recently seen C languages like integer, character, float and double. In this C++, they are having integer, character and also included boolean data type, floating, double floating, void character. Compared to C and C++, we are seeing new data types, that is a boolean. Boolean means it has categorized into two types, that is the one is true and false. Now void data type and void category. Derived data type means these categories are function, arrays, pointers and reference. User defined data type means the user can create these data types like class, structure, union, enum and type def. How to organize this program? You can organize it into multi-source file. It means header files are used to declaring function like classes and variables. They are used across multiple source file. This hash include directive means it has to include files in C++ program. What are the classes and objects in C++? Here classes means that is the building block of object oriented. Like take an example, a class is an user defined data type. First of all, you have to create a class. Without a class, we can't create any object. Like take you have to create student is a class. The objects may be student roll number, student name. But you can't create any class. We can't define any object in any programming language. How to creating a class? You can use a class keyword and in this class keyword you have to followed by the class name. Inside the class you have to declare any variable. That variable is known as the data member variables. You have to, in the method declaration, you have to create any function or variables. That functions is known as the member functions. You can create an objects of a classes, but these class followed by the object names and constructor arguments. How access modifiers? There are 4 types of access modifiers: default, private, protected, public. In these 4 access modifiers, everywhere in the program, every concept you have using public only. Public means you have to access anywhere in the every package or any constructor. Like what is a private? In only the main block of the code. Protected means that is used only the package, but public means you can access anywhere in the program. What is the member functions? I am discussing whenever in the program you have to declare in the method variables is known as member functions. You have to declaring in the class members are known as data members. What are the friend function in C++? In this friend function means the classes to access private and protected members of the classes. These functions are declared inside a class only, but not members of the class. These will be declared only inside the class. But these, what is the useful for this function? You have to give limited access to a particular specific functions or classes without compromising the encapsulations. Mainly these friend functions should include inside the class, not outside the class. How to declare these friend function? You have to use friend keyword. Now recently we have using class name means you have to using class keyword. In that only friend function you are creating, you can use the friend keyword. These friend function declaration should be placed in inside the class. In this section for the public access modifier should be worked. Other private access modifier should not be applicable. This friend function definition is written outside the body just like other regular functions. How to accessing private members? You can include variables and functions in this friend function, and you can perform several tasks, but outside the class should not be accessing this friend function. Inside the class only it will be accessed the friend function. This friend function to class without making the member of the class. For example, class representing a complex number, it can be friend function for addition that can directly access the private members. Like some example, it has to performing some complex number in addition only within the class, not outside the class. What is the static function? In the static function, commonly used some specific task. What is the difference between friend function and static function? In the friend function, within the class only you have to use. In this static function, you have to using any method or variable belong to that class. It can be accessed directly using the class name without creating any instance of the class. These function should be does not require any instance specific data. Directly it can access with the class, but you can't use any objects in this static function. How to declare this static function means in the recently we are using friend function means you can using friend keyword. In this static function means you can use the static keyword. These function are also declared inside the class and as well as outside of the class. Friend function means only inside the class, but static function means you can use inside and outside. Both the functions will be worked. This keyword is not used in function definition. In the friend function, friend keyword is used in the function definition, but static keyword is not used in the function definition. How to accessing this function? You can use column operator. You can access this static function, but you can access through an object also. The static function should be worked. It can directly access the other members functions of the class. What is function overloading? Whenever you are using multiple functions but the same name but different parameters, that is known as function overloading. Let's take one example. Sum is the function name. You can accessing different variables, but some function is included all other the functions, but it is known as function overloading. It is only reusable the code, and but each code, each block should have multiple meanings, but the function name should be the same. What are the benefits of function overloading? I have discussed it. This code reusability as the function name for different data types or argument combinations. And these rules for function overloading is, these overloaded function can direct access, specifiers, constants or exception handling. Let's take one example function overloading. You have to use calculate area. Means calculate area means one of the class, and you can use rectangle, circle and triangle. These all are the related to the area concept. In this function overloading means you can access multiple functions, but you can use different parameters. What is the constructors in C++? In this C++, you can access special member functions, but this constructor you have having the same name, but the class does not have any return type. Then you can use objects automatically. Default constructor means you can't use any parameter. That constructor is known as a default constructor. Parameterized constructor means you can pass some values, some variables, some arguments. That should be known as parameterized constructor. Copy constructor means you have creating a new object. In this object you have to access the another function, then it should known as copy constructor. What is the destructors in C++ means automatically the object should be destroyed. This concept is known as a destructor, and the object should be allocated during its lifetime, but the destructor having the same name as the class, but you can use tilde symbol. In this destructor you have dynamically allocated the object. Whenever you have to closing the file, opening the file and release the locks, then you can use the destructor. In this destructor you can use reverse order also, you can use this. This destructor does not take any arguments and it does not represent any return values also. It will be automatically the objects will be created, but you can use delete keyword. The destructor should be whatever the functions is taken, that should be deleted. In this class you can access pointers, and in this destructor you can each and every variable you can allocate the memory. In that variable you can't place it in that function, you can use simply delete operator. Thank you.